Oh, dear ones. I thought you might enjoy this article. I'll put the link to it in the description, and it is on Lindsey Mackereth's paid Substack. So if you're interested in trying out the Substack, I have some free month that I can give you, and then you can see if you'd like to explore it further. So if you'd like to read the full article, and I'm not going to share all of it with you, but just sort of the like free sneak peek. And then you can email me, um, or you can put a comment if you don't know my email address, and I'll get you a free subscription for a month so you can check her out. She's one of my favorite thinkers. She coined the term neurocomplexity rather than neurodivergent, which I really love. It holds kind of your classic, ADHD, autism, but it also includes giftedness and just a wider variety of those of us who are experiencing neurocomplexity. So I love this article because it's about um, pain in the body, which is very common. There's a lot of neurocomplex or neurodivergent folks with chronic pain or chronic illnesses. And she is offering this idea that chronic pain can be related to suppressing our own intensity, our too muchness. That is often a way to describe neurocomplex folks. So this is the part that I really wanted to share. And then, like I said, she goes into some really interesting other things to talk about it in the rest of the article, which, if you're interested, I can give you access to. So she talks about how a lot of us high capacity neurocomplex folks have a lot of chronic medical things, migraines, persistent pain, fatigue that sleep does not fix, inflammatory flares that appear and disappear without a clear cause. These symptoms are real, bodies are real, illness is real, but they rarely exist in isolation. So I do somatic parts work, and we come in and sort of uh, we don't eliminate the medical perspective, but we bring in the perspective that also the body's physical manifestations can be indications of things that are going on both in the physical and psychological realm. Um, so she is offering that these chronic physical symptoms may correlate with long-term self-restraint, postponed decisions, and unclaimed intensity. So it's not that we are too emotional, too sensitive, too much in general. It's that that energy is actually coming to move, but because we're trying to fit in with society or fit in with what's expected of us or what's appropriate, we're suppressing that, and this is often described as masking, and that suppression itself leaves that energy nowhere to go but to express itself physically. So a great example of this is that I love talking about these esoteric or psychological topics. I just have a pretty much endless flow of ideas that I'm endlessly fascinated by and wanting to talk about. But the day-to-day people that I have encountered, it's shifting. Now the day-to-day people are more showing up in my reality as high complexity folks. Um, because I found myself an avenue through which to express these complex ideas in making these YouTube videos, in writing, in spending time with authors that are high complexity and thinkers on YouTube, etc. And eventually, cr- ending up where I was having high complexity conversations all day, every day with my clients. And so I sort of facilitated the expression of all of these things that I had been repressing for so long. And I was previously someone who was experiencing, chronic medical stuff, migraines, and um, mine was also manifesting as a lot of suicidality and depression and insomnia. And other than a recent flare up with perimenopause stuff, and now that I've got my hormones stabled, it's evened out. I have gotten to a place where I'm really not having those chronic medical problems as much. And this is not to say that chronic medical problems are like your fault, or that you're responsible for them, or that if you don't unmask enough, then you're going to be punished by chronic medical problems. It's just a nice way to kind of understand that being a high intensity or a high complexity person sometimes does come with these experiences because um, it is the world is not really rewarding or encouraging us to share a high complexity. And so if there's a like, why can't I make this go away? Or like, why do I go to every doctor and the doctor says, you're just not making sense, or you should not be so stressed, it's your fault, kind of, or like you have a mental health problem. Um, my hope in sharing this is to be validating that like it makes sense to have these medical things when we're high complexity people living in a low complexity society. And so that you don't feel alone, so that you can feel less like confused, maybe, so that you can feel validated that it would make sense if you're having these experiences, and that perhaps, we're not necessarily going to be able to not experience this, but perhaps it can be some permission to be able, like, willing to start to explore and express some of your high complexity, and see if it takes a bit of that pressure off of some of those physical symptoms. Um, Not that we're trying to make them go away or be like healthy, in any sense of the word. I also am a huge person that, really is undoing my own internalized ableism and is embracing more and more that I can have a body that doesn't work perfectly, and that can be meaningful, and that there's nothing wrong with me, and I don't need to be on this like never ending healing journey. I can just be how and who I am right now. And that's another level of embracing your high complexity, is embracing that you're going to have a high complexity body as well, right? I like how Martha Beck calls us high somaticizers, to express that, like, we have this internal meter that's going to be like, hey, I am letting you know, as this article goes on to say, that these chronic symptoms can be a signal to say, like, hey, I think that we could use some support here, and uh, allowing us to be more in touch with our own authenticity and our own guidance and our own inner truth, as Martha Beck again describes it so beautifully in the allegory book that she wrote called Diana Herself, which I highly recommend. She calls them the stabbies, that anytime she's not telling the truth, that her stomach has intense pain that feels like it's being stabbed. And I think this is a really nice gift in a way that we have, although it can be a bummer because pain is challenging and not the most fun. It's a gift in a way because it's almost like, we can't get as off track as other people from our authenticity, from our truth. And, you know, when we open up to fully expressing, it can be risky, right? It can be actually dangerous in many settings, but it can be something that is extremely liberating and powerful and beautiful, even though it might have consequences, right? We think about people like my who I call the patron saint of our household, Marsha P. Johnson, who was a beautiful spirit of acknowledging that trans people are worthy, and make sense, and are beautiful gifts to this planet. And she, you know, uh, really was an incredible spirit on this planet of inclusivity and celebration and joy. And she was horribly uh, oppressed, persecuted, discriminated against. Many people believe that she was actually murdered. Um, and, to her, it was worth it. That Marsha P. Johnson stands for pay it no mind, because for her, it was just not worth it to have the ease that might come with suppressing self. And she was willing to have the pain that and the risk that came. So there's no should here, but just an interesting take on this that I enjoyed reading and thought you might enjoy too. So I will put the link, like I said, and invite you to check it out if you're interested. And if you want free access for a month to her Substack, just let me know.